All right, everybody, welcome back to the Extra Innings podcast. I am your host, Elijah Rodriguez, and we are back today with another episode. A little bit later than normal. I normally have these up by like 9 a.m. because I film them at like 6-ish, like 6:30ish. Today, in Texas, or at least in South Texas, really going towards the coast, towards Houston, or sorry, not Houston. Well, maybe a little bit of Houston, but mostly Corpus. We have this like mega storm that's gonna roll through today. Really, for an entire day, we're expecting like 3 to 7 inches. So I decided to go to the gym this morning rather than going in the afternoon like I normally do, to kind of avoid that, not have to like canoe to the gym because whatever, right? But so yeah, this one's going to come out a little bit later, but a lot has happened since my last episode yesterday, which is kind of crazy. But kind of on, we'll start. I have a couple topics we're going to talk about today. Kind of to start, obviously pushing this to the top of the list as it's obviously should be. Is yesterday Willie Mays passed away at the age of 93. I mean, an absolute legend in baseball, from the Negro Leagues to the MLB, setting all kinds of records in his 17 or 18 season span. Just like literally an absolute fucking legend, Willie Mays. I mean, it's like even the guys in Major League, if you've seen the movie Major League, obviously, is it Hayes? The Wesley Snipes character is obviously named in a play on Willie Mays. So just has left an everlasting imprint on the game of baseball, and forever will be. I mean, holds lifetime major league records for putouts by an outfielder, homers by a center fielder, and homers in extra innings. So like, he's got an insane amount of stats. I'm reading off some of his stats here just because I've been reading a lot of articles this morning on him and kind of his legacy. And there's all kinds of stuff. Thriving in All-Star games enhanced his career as well. He holds or shares All-Star records for appearances, 24, at bat 75, runs 20, hits, triples, extra base hits, and total bases. I mean, that is legendary. I mean, absolutely legendary, and he will for sure never be forgotten. I mean, that's just we never will. He has left an insane legacy and such an insane footprint on baseball that it's pretty much going to be impossible to ever forget the name Willie Mays. So we'll leave that there. I'm sad day, but I don't want to kind of keep going into that. I mean, just for everyone to know, take a moment of silence, whatever. Just remember Willie Mays and remember the impact and the legacy he's left on the game of baseball. It's pretty incredible. In other news, kind of moving away from that a little bit. Aaron Judge, we'll talk about Aaron Judge, but the Yankees started their series yesterday against Baltimore. It was entertaining, to say the least. It was entertaining, to say the least. Yankees ended up winning the one last night 4-2, but a very scary game, a very nerve-wracking game. Both Torres got smashed in the hand with a pitch up and in. It seems like that was kind of there was a lot of inside pitches. I don't know the stats on how many, but it seemed like they were really running the ball up and in on pretty much like 95% of the lineup yesterday, which I would assume was a targeted. I mean, that had to have been planned. Like it's not like everything was just sailing to the right or left on whoever was pitching for the Orioles. I don't even remember who played yesterday. Let me see if I can get a box. All right, so Suarez. So Suarez went 3 2/3. Then we had Keegan Akin, Akin, whatever, Tate, and then Vespi pitching for the Orioles. Yesterday we had Nestor, who went 6 innings, 5 hits. So pretty decent outing from Nestor. Then you had Tonkin come in, Weaver, and then Holmes shut the door. Though gave up 2 runs in the ninth, so that's not good. So anyway, Clay Holmes has been a little shaky as of late. Ever since that one thing with Anthony Rizzo where they got walked off by the Royals, I feel like that kind of messed with Clay Holmes a little bit. But obviously, these guys, Clay Holmes probably is going to shake it. It's just kind of one bad outing, so he'll be fine. Nestor, though, impressed. 6 innings, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts. For his latest track record, that's not bad. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about mostly was the whole thing with Aaron Judge. I mean, and so Torres got hit in the hand. And everyone's like, "Oh, he's wearing a handguard." That if you've ever been hit in the hand, the handguard absorbs a good chunk of the force, but it still fucking hurts. You can still break your hand off that. Let's be honest there. And then Judge also took one in the hand, and it was kind of like like we get it, dude. Like you're trying to run in, but like you're too far in. Like if you're hitting dudes in the hands after they're backing up like this, like let's get some control here, dude. If you're gonna throw in, control it. Like if you're trying to hit somebody, like there's no room for that here, especially against like if you're gonna go after a hit and like starting to hit guys like Aaron Judge, that's ballsy, dude. Like that's no. But I like I said, I'm not saying that it's intentional. It doesn't seem like it was intentional. But if you're gonna throw in, you better have some fucking control because you could do some serious damage. Luckily, all MRIs and everything on Judge came back negative, so he's all right. And he was apparently asking to be in the lineup today, which was, I mean, who wouldn't want to be like, the thing was like this happened the day before Garrett Cole comes back. If Judge were to go out the day Garrett Cole comes back, that would have been a sad day. But so do I think Judge is in the lineup today? And the funny thing was that Boone wasn't even there. It was Osmus was managing the game yesterday because Boone went to his son's graduation, so he wasn't even there. Osmus was the interim manager for the game. But yeah, Judge getting hit in the hand was definitely worrisome. I thought for sure with the Betts one that just happened a couple days ago, his hand broke. I thought for sure, like, damn it, like is Judge out for a while? X-rays came back negative. Everything was negative, so that's positive. He's asking to be in the game today. I mean, I'm not there to look at Judge's hand and be like, yeah, you can move it. Let me see your mobility. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, I know he wants to be in there for this return. This game is the biggest game probably of the series this Wednesday, today. But I don't see them putting him in there today. I think he's going to have to sit this one out. Personally, I would sit him. I would be like, hey, let's just let it rest. If there's any damage, let's not take the risk of it turning into something. Maybe if you tweak it, maybe you don't get hit again, but something happens, you hit it, doesn't feel right. You're working with a variety of different things that could possibly go wrong. Call me a pessimist, but I'm protecting Aaron Judge at all costs. Let's take a rest day. Let's see how it feels today. Let's take some BP. Let's see where you're at, and then let's make the decision. But I don't know if I play Aaron Judge today on that. But yeah, so today's going to be interesting, guys. Today's going to be interesting. They haven't released lineups. It's still too early, but I am super interested to see where we're at. I think Trevino will be catching today, Cole. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Good game yesterday. It was 4-0 to that last inning with Holmes blowing those 2 runs. So it's going to be a good series. You know, the Orioles are not guys that are going to back down anytime soon. So we're expecting to see a good game. My phone just recorded everything I just said. Why did it do that? That's stupid. Anyway. All right. So yesterday I made a video, kind of moving on. I made a video. If you don't follow me on socials, go follow me on socials because I got some good stuff on there. And I said that Grimace, the fucking McDonald's guy, is the Mets' secret weapon. And he might actually be. So Grimace threw the first pitch late last week, Thursday or Friday of last week, throughout the first pitch of the Mets game. And the Mets have been undefeated since. They were 6-0 going into yesterday, won again last night. Now they're 7 games in a row. The Mets obviously picked something up. I mean, they were going through the struggle bus for a while. It was really brutal out in Queens at Citi Field for a while. I was, the whole glove toss thing, them getting beat by the Dodgers in the 8th inning after they were leading the whole game. Like, a lot just kind of went south for a while. There was no one really performing. They were getting beat by like crazy errors and then the glove toss. And it was just not a good look for the Mets for a while. And I know that there was a lot of internal changes. A lot of people were having talks in the clubhouse trying to like kind of switch and change this narrative. And in all honesty, that's great leadership by Lindor and whoever else led those charges, because something needed to be said. Something needed to be changed in that locker room. And ever since that whole glove toss incident, it's kind of been a different team, a slow crawl into where they are now. And it looks like they're a much healthier, fun, positive team, which is what they can be, which is what's always upset me so much, is that there's so much talent on that roster and so much potential that it's almost frustrating every year to watch the Mets. And I'm just watching from afar. I've been a fan of the Mets, if you will. Sorry, I have a guitar pick here in my hands like a fidget toy. I've been a fan watching the Mets because they've had little runs here and there since they had the whole thing with Matt Harvey in 15 and really kind of 14, a little bit of 14, 15 for sure when they made that run to the World Series, and then obviously 16, and then that was kind of it for them for a while. Then they kind of, Matt Harvey went, and then, DeGrom's been off and on, and then you had, Syndergaard go in, and it just kind of fell off as it went. But, those years were good, and they were fun to watch. They were a great team to watch and fun to watch. And ever since I've always kind of kept my eye a little bit on the Mets because every so often they have a little bit of magic over there for whatever reason that is. And it's just always been super frustrating for me because I'm like, why can they not put it together? I mean, they go after big dogs. At one point, they had well, no, they didn't have DeGrom, but they had Scherzer and Verlander, and they were like, it's just like a curse in Queens, I guess. I don't know, but the Mets seem to have flipped the script, returned to the next chapter, the next page, and they are now onto something, and they have no one else to thank but Grimace, the freaking McDonald's mascot. So, interesting enough, Grimace is the saving grace of the Mets. So let's see if they can keep it up. I'm happy for them, man. Let's keep this rolling, man. Like I said, I obviously want nothing but like great baseball to be played. The Mets have a lot of, like I said, a lot of possibility over there. There's a lot of they could do something. They could be somebody if they could just put it together. And I feel like sometimes that's asking a lot of the Mets, unfortunately, but we will see. Dodgers had an insane comeback yesterday, crazy enough. Let's see if I can find the stats on that game. Yeah, they led a 7-run ninth inning to come back and win because a lot of there's apparently defining history. Let's see. What did they do? They are 6-2. What is it? And their comeback win on Tuesday. The Dodgers are now 6-2, 619 all time. What? When trailing by 5 or more runs in the ninth inning or later, meaning they don't fucking win. Wait, yeah, they're 619th maybe? I don't know what ESPN's trying to say here. Yeah, a little bit weird. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, the Dodgers, so here's the thing about the Dodgers. We're just going to kind of talk about them a little bit. Obviously, this past week's been a little bit crazy. Walker Buehler doesn't seem to and obviously Walker Buehler pitched yesterday for the Dodgers. I remember watching his start when he came back, and I talked about it. I thought maybe he needed some time to readjust, get fine-tuned in the big leagues. And that was about a month ago. He hasn't really been that guy this year. I mean, yesterday, 8 hits on 7 runs, 7 runs on 8 hits in 4 innings, which is not good. It's the first time that he's 29. The first time he's allowed more than 3 earned runs since returning on May 6th. And he missed all of last year. So he struck out only 2 batters and walked 1. So not a very good outing. And he hasn't really been that guy that you saw, a couple years ago who was just extreme lights out, which is, I'm not quite sure what they're going to need to do to get him back and going. But anyway, the Dodgers, and this is something we've talked about, they have these flashes, which is why a lot of people are considering them more of a disappointment. I've seen them on quite a few disappointment lists in 2024. Not because hold on, what the heck? Okay, anyway, not because they're playing bad, not because they're, I guess not because they're performing up to expectations, because some of these guys are performing to where they were. I mean, Mookie Betts was putting on a year, Shohei putting on a year. They'll hit some rough spots. But the thing was, like, everyone is saying, like, for the amount of money that people are paying for, the amount of money that the Dodgers are paying for these guys, for this fucking team, there's too much uncertainty. There's too many losses, I think, on their record for the amount of money that's been paid for this team. So it's like there's too many of that. There's too much uncertainty with the pitching rotation. There's too much uncertainty with hitting. There's too much uncertainty all the way around. And on top of that, they've lost so many games that they don't have the best record in baseball, which with how much they paid this offseason and the guys they got, you would have expected them to be at the tip top of baseball, which they're not. The Yankees are. And, it's weird. It's very weird that they're not. And that just comes to show what everyone's been saying for a long time, is that you can buy every fucking player in the world and put them on this roster, but it doesn't guarantee any wins. It gives you a better probability in the long run, but it doesn't really guarantee that you're gonna, win the World Series. And that's kind of evident here, is like all this money spent, and they've got quite a few injuries. I will say that, quite a few injuries, but still to the same point is that they should have been winning more games. We expected more. Though, like, they could do stuff like this where they put up a 7-run ninth inning to come back and win a game. So they show flashes of where like that's incredible. Like that's who does that? Like that's insane. That's almost like history defined. Like that doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every year. That's something insane. To come back and win a game in the ninth by that many runs is pretty insane. But I personally think we should expect more for the Dodgers. A lot of other people expect more for the Dodgers. Like this should not happen to a team that paid $700 million to one guy and has probably one of the biggest payrolls in baseball. Just my opinion. But crazy night by the Dodgers, of course. But we're going to move on. I don't want to talk about the Dodgers anymore. And then the last thing I got here, we have the. Hold on, that guy's texting me about shit. Okay, now we have an update on the ABS system, and I kind of talked about this. Like I said, if you're not following me on socials, follow me on socials. I got all kinds of stuff on there, right? So yesterday I made a video, or I actually didn't post this one. Now I'm going to post it this morning, but I made a video. I didn't get to it yesterday. I posted a thing about Willie Mays because that all happened last night. I kind of wanted to give that time to breathe, and I just felt that was a better way to end the night, just honoring Willie Mays. But so I'll post that video today. But basically, the situation was yesterday, or I guess now 2 days ago. Well, yeah, Monday night. Bellinger is up at the plate during the Cubs game, and took four. It was a 4-pitch walk. But in that 4-pitch walk, he saw 3 balls that were strikes. I mean, blatant as day strikes. I found the stats. Actually, I wrote them down here. Yeah, so if you find, I'll post that clip. So if you're interested, just look on socials here in a little bit. I'll have that up. I wrote this down yesterday because I needed to find the stats on this guy. So the umpire of that game, and we've talked about, Angel Hernandez is finally retired, and normally when one guy comes up, another groundhog's going to pop up and try to be the worst umpire in baseball, and we have found him. We have found the guy. His name is Manny Gonzalez. He was the umpire on Monday night for the Cubs game. He is the lowest rated umpire with the lowest accuracy rating at a 91.3%, which, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's not great. Okay, if you look, so here's the thing. It's subjective in the sense that if he's the worst at 91, which is still not bad, that means that everybody else is way better than him. And that's going to make him look obviously 10 times worse, because 90% is not by any means like the worst, but it's Major League Baseball. So you got to be the best of the best. So lowest rated umpire at 91.3%. And then that night, he had an 87.3% accuracy rate. That's bad. And it was evident because he missed so many strikes that night. It was insane. Some of those were all in one at bat. So that's like, it's ridiculous. It's insanity. But I don't know, guys. I mean, something has to change with these umpires. And like I said, it's not going to get any better until something that Major League Baseball does something about it, because they have all the protection in the world. But a lot of these guys are going to keep getting away with performances like this because nothing's going to happen. They know that they're not untouchable, but there's a lot that has to be done before they can actually be removed, and that's kind of crazy. But I bring that up because I saw an update yesterday. I need some water for a second. I saw an update yesterday, specifically around the time that this whole thing came out, and I started reading into this whole thing with Manny Gonzalez. Of course, anytime there's a bad umpire performance or anything like that, a lot of times, people jump to we need automatic strike zone. I think that and I was pretty happy when I read this article, is because I don't think there will truly be an automated strike zone. I don't think it's going to be like where people think it's going to be like the pitch is thrown and then the umpire is going to hear strike, ball, whatever, right? I don't think it's going to be like that. And they all but confirmed that yesterday when I read this article. Basically, they're testing a new kind of system in AAA. It's called an ABS, automated ball strike system. I think that's what it stands for. Maybe I'm off, but ABS is what they're calling it. And it will be a challenge-based system from what I read. And that is beautiful. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that every play in baseball at this point should probably be challengeable. I believe, because there's stuff that happens that's challengeable, and I'm like, thank God that's there, because the umpire missed the call. It was a tough bang play. Like I said, umpiring is hard, and I get that on every level. So having a backup to get the call right, not a bad thing, in my opinion. And it doesn't, like, if you're missing like 6 a game and they're having to keep, challenge you, and you're wrong every single time, then yeah, there's a problem. But if they get one and then, that doesn't happen the rest of the game, like, that's all right. Like, it happens. One, we're good. But like, there was one game the other day where it was like challenge, wrong. And it's like, hey, that you suck. Like, that's bad. So I think if we keep it automated, But as a challenge-only system, I think that would do the game so much better because it could change the trajectory of a lot of games with some of these strike calls, like that Cody Bellinger call. Challenge that shit, man. Like you can't just. And that's the thing with when umpire, and that's what as a pitcher, or as an ex-pitcher, the biggest, especially in tight games, especially against good teams, like throwing good pitches already in itself to good hitters in tight situations and in games that are going to start to matter as we go later down the line. I mean, having a good umpire that can call good pitches is so fucking crucial because it can dictate what happens the rest of the game. Because think about it. If you throw two pitches, borderline strike, maybe one caught, maybe one didn't, like a 1-1 count is extremely different than a 2-0 count. It's monumentally different. It changes the whole situation of the game. So I'm sitting here saying, okay, it's fine. But like at the same time, like these pitchers know, like, hey, when I'm pitching against somebody like Cody Bellinger, if I'm pitching against someone like Shohei Ohtani, if I'm pitching against someone like Aaron Judge, every pitch has to be finite. Every pitch has to be bullet point. It's got to be exactly where I want it because any mistake on a good hitter, they capitalize. And that's a big thing in Major League Baseball. So I feel for some of these pitchers in these situations where they're like, I'm throwing the outside here. I'm hitting this corner. I'm hitting this spot. You need those pitches to be called. Because if you don't, it's gonna indirectly affect how you're gonna pitch to him to finish the at bat. And a lot of times, if you're nibbling at the zone, trying to stay away from the heart of it, you're gonna have to eventually bleed into that zone, and that's when things get bad. That's when pitchers get hit around, and that's where umpires have the ability to dictate the flow of the game, which is why I'm so big on getting accurate umpires for that reason specifically, because it changes the game and it changes the pitcher and it changes the way that he approaches each at bat, and that's how important. And that's why. If you've wondered why I'm so mad about umpires making bad calls, missing calls, that's why, because it can truly dictate the flow of the game. But I'm all good. If we're going to do this automated zone and it's strictly a challenge-based system, put it in now. Like, what are we waiting for? Like, yeah, test it, and let's get it in. I don't know what we're waiting for. Personally, I'm like, hey, let's do it. Like, I'm all for this. So we will see if that's implemented soon. I hope it is, because that would do us a lot of good, I think. And there's no shame in having an extra backup to kind of help you out make calls. So anyway, guys, that's what I got for today. Thanks for listening. We're gonna have another episode tomorrow. I'm really slacking on these breakdowns. I'm trying to get them. There hasn't been anything, and I'm trying not to dig into the realm of throwback ones, though I'm gonna have to probably tomorrow because I want to get more breakdowns done. There hasn't been any. Somebody go get ejected so I can break it down and talk about it. But no, I mean, the only one I had the other day that was close enough to maybe break down, though there wasn't a whole lot to really unpack, was the bunting play with Garrett Stubbs and then Rob Thompson from the Phillies got thrown, got tossed, got run, whatever you call it. But not a lot to break down there. So I was like, I'll do a short, social media video about it. But I mean, there's not really much else to say about it. So I'm going to try to find some stuff we can break down, guys. So bear with me there. But be sure to follow us on socials. Like I said, I got a lot of videos on there. I talk about a lot of different topics that don't always make it on the podcast. So go check that out. Follow, subscribe, whatever they ask you to do on YouTube to support the page. I appreciate it. Please go and do that. Like I said, we got episodes every day, Monday through Friday, occasional weekend episode, but not many because that's my rest time. That's my recoup time. But like I said, guys, thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys tomorrow.